Man, Battlefield 2042 just continues to disappoint, or not disappoint. It really depends on the question, right? The game itself is disappointing, but the news and media attention is actually a bit entertaining. I don't know. I've been staying away from 2042 as a means of staying positive and enjoying previous Battlefield titles, especially Battlefield 1, but I received more than a few comments asking me for my thoughts about the latest update and the future of the franchise, and so yeah, here I am back and posting content. My name is LtBuzzLitebeer, and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you like what you see, please take a moment to smash that big, beautiful subscribe button, and if you could take a few seconds more to ring the bell to receive all my future upload notifications, it would be greatly appreciated. Let's go. So, I've been gone for weeks, partially for some R&R vacation time, partially because I got crazy sick when I came back from vacation, and the other part was, I don't know, just lack of creative energy. But this week, I vowed to get back on the grind, and in terms of 2042, we've got a lot to talk about. First up is this mega-sized update 0.4.0, that encompasses some 400 plus fixes and improvements. By the way, link to those patch notes in my video description. And when it comes to these patch notes, there tends to be a ton of irrelevant text and or fixes, such as adding audio for birds on renewal. Yeah, because we've all been requesting more bird sounds in this game. But first, let me backtrack for just a second. I haven't really played 2042 in a long time. So to be fair to the team at DICE, I actually booted it up and recorded this footage this morning, to give it another unbiased trial now on the new updated mechanics. And I think this clip from the Actman's review of Battlefield 2042 perfectly sums up how I felt while playing.
I always try to find some nugget of potential within even the worst games. But after I played 2 matches, it's like, I'm done, that's it, science experiment over, I'll take an F for this one.
Now, in large part, the game still plays just the way I remember. For me on PC, the mouse input issues have always been so severe that I just refuse to play the game. It has always felt like my mouse was tracking across a mouse pad just doused in maple syrup. Even though it's not listed in the patch notes, it was confirmed on Twitter, and I read about it, that there was some sort of changes to make the input feel more like it has in previous Battlefield games. And I've also seen mixed social media posts about this issue. Some players are reporting that the mouse input is feeling so much better, even going so far as to say that it is fixed, while others are seeing no change. For me, it's the latter. The mouse input is still sluggish as hell and inaccurate, 2 things you never want a gamer to say about shooting in a first-person shooter. Now, I recently went through a playtest for another title, not Battlefield, and we actually remoted into the studio servers to play the game, kind of like cloud gaming. And to me, this is how 2042 plays. It always feels like I'm like a half second behind. I see the target, I move my mouse the exact same way I would in, say, BF3, BF4, or even BF1. It just doesn't snap my weapon muzzle to exactly the same spot with the exact same precision. Moving on and actually going back, I want to go back and touch on audio. And can I ask you all if I'm the only one that struggles to tell which direction an enemy player is coming from in this Battlefield game? I mean, for me, the audio input just seems to come from every direction. I could be inside a building, attempting to cap an objective, and I hear footsteps coming. They get louder as the player approaches my position, but the audio location is literally in a 360 throughout my headphones. It could be a single player, but it sounds like they are coming from every direction. Big additions crammed into this patch included VoIP for party and squads, the end-of-round scoreboard, and adjustments to weapon attachments. And I'm sorry here, but I'm not going to pat DICE on the back and give them a big high five for items that should have been in the game since launch. How does a modern AAA FPS title that prioritizes squad communication go to market without VoIP? And with that, how does a competitive online multiplayer game ever release without an end-of-round scoreboard? So for me, they get no praise for finally putting a few items into the game that should have been in the game already. I also read about a ton of minor tweaks to the specialist, and too bad this patch didn't completely remove them from the game, but one can hope, right? There's also quite a few changes to vehicles, such as reducing how many can be on the battlefield at one time, and the classification of vehicles, example, the Bolt. Now, there are also some really baffling changes that I read about as well, such as the Condor getting its 50mm cannon pod buffed. Now, this thing was already really strong, and now it's just going to wreck even harder. There's also this large shift to improving points received for support actions, but a massive reduction to points for playing objectives. Now, I've been with Battlefield from the start, and I eat, sleep, and breathe the mantra PTFO. So why would the game all of a sudden decide that players that are attempting to do this very thing should receive less of a bonus and therefore will not have as much incentive to actually perform that action? Look, there are essentially 4 types of players in a Battlefield game. You've got your vehicle jockeys that refuse to enter combat unless they are piloting some sort of mechanized beast. You've also got your campers that hang out on the fringe of the map attempting to snipe or do whatever. They're always a bit too afraid to get into the middle of a fight or attempt to stand in an objective zone. Your third type are the slayers. They don't give a damn about objectives, and they're just going for maximum kills and top placings on the scoreboard. And then you've got your PTFOers. Now, these players attack and defend the points of importance in an attempt to seize control of the board and win the round. The slayers and vehicle jockeys are going to get their points regardless, and the campers could care less about points. But when you take the PTFOers and make it so that they are hampered by doing the very thing that Battlefield has always preached, well, needless to say, I can imagine that it has pissed off more than a few players.
Come on! PTFO! PTFO, motherfucker!
Before I wrap this one up, I wanted to touch on 2 additional items actually listed in the patch notes. One's pretty big, and it's the addition of all the HUD and UI changes, and this one I must applaud. Thank you for bringing those back from Battlefield 4. It's taken forever, but the ability to adjust, minimize, darken, and even remove the amount of clutter on the screen is great to see. It has always been insane in 2042 when you ADS and you just see markers and icons just fill up your screens, making it near impossible to see enemies when they actually happen to overlap. Now, the second bit of wild information are these 2 lines that are kind of thrown in and buried within the patch notes, and you may have missed them, so listen as I actually talk these through. Number 1, they fixed an issue where weapons would have inconsistent dispersion or recoil. And number 2, they fixed an issue which prevented bullets from dealing the correct damage amount. Okay, full stop on this. Did you just hear that? You don't say. You mean there's been an issue with 2042 since launch where weapons had inconsistent dispersion and recoil along with bullets not actually dealing the correct amount of damage? You know what this tells me is that Battlefield 2042 is ready to take that next step and actually enter into beta testing, right? I mean, think about it. Everything listed in that 400 plus fixes and patch notes update are all things that probably, or most definitely, would have been detected prior to launch had the game had a proper shakedown. I could also probably spend an entire video going over how lazily they have now installed and given weapon recoils just this general pass, but let's save that one for another day. Now, to answer any lingering questions you may have, and I'm sure you've probably already seen videos answering this question, but I'm just going to spend my time here reaffirming those statements. With update 0.4.0, is Battlefield 2042 truly improved enough for players to return and enjoy this Battlefield title? No. And I say that with zero reservation or pause. Now, the vast majority of changes included in this patch you would really never notice, and as I said, the stealth changes to the mouse input really didn't make the gameplay all that much better for me. I just wanted to also note that I still suffer with performance issues, despite having a Threadripper PRO CPU and a damn 3090 graphics card. Even with the game on low settings, I bounce between like 65 and 90 frames per second on my 4K monitor. And the giant missing item here is content. Now, DICE can switch up base damage patterns and add all the damn bird audio cues they want, but without wholesale changes to specialist, class systems, and a total just overhaul on map design, players are not going to return to the game. And with the way I'm thinking that they're going, I expect them to just improve the game just enough, push out just enough seasonal content to satisfy the pre-orders, and then they're going to move on to whatever this new title they have in planning. But you know what? That's just my take on it. And as always, I look forward to reading your feedback. Don't forget to smash that sub button and ring the bell to receive all my future upload alerts. If you could take a few seconds more to rate and or share this video, it would be greatly appreciated. Don't forget to find and follow me on Twitch, Twitter, and you're always welcome to join my community Discord server. Links to all my socials in the video description below. Until the next one, this is LtBuzzLitebeer, signing off.